June the 11th, 2021. Guys, it's Friday. Hope everyone made it through this week, and I hope everyone has a good weekend. What you're looking at is the National Hurricane Center, and we have a system forming in the Bay of Campeche in the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. 20% chance of development, and what they're saying is a trough of low pressure is expected to form early next week over the Bay of Campeche in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Subsequent slow development of the system is possible as it drifts northwestward to northward. So that's north and north and to the left or west. So first indications are Mexico, Texas. But as we see these systems get into the Gulf, sometimes they can make that right turn. We know it. We've been watching it too long. But guys, what we've been seeing for the last week, we saw the system down in the Caribbean that had 20% chance of development. Then it went to 30, then to 10. Then they took it off the charts yesterday as it was absorbed into the land masses of Central America. But remember, the models were showing some formation in the Bay of Campeche that was tied to activity in the Pacific Ocean as the storms emerged, and it was pulled up and pulled north, just like they're saying this one's going to be. And it looks like we're getting into that time. We are now 11 days into this hurricane season, and it's kind of been a slow month of June. We've had a couple of little things. We only had one storm back in May, but things are about to get cranked up. The Gulf of Mexico is getting very warm now. You're looking at basically infrared images as the sun is starting to rise this morning. You see it in the very top right corner as we start going to true color. Right there, you see the blue oceans. Here's the system, and it's still pulling in other systems from the Pacific Ocean. Notice on the other side here of the Mexican Peninsula, right here in the bottom left of the screen, all of this is pulling into very warm waters, just like the models we're talking about. Now, the models have not picked up on this yet, other than the disturbances that we've been seeing. As we go through the day, they will start lining up now because of the storm getting the 20% chance of development. And while we're looking at this map, we're here in central Mississippi, right here, and this is Arkansas and Louisiana. The last few days, we had a system that moved out of Texas with heavy rain and stalled right here over this Three Corners area. You had Arkansas involved, North Louisiana, and a lot of Mississippi. 2 nights ago, we had one of the most powerful electrical storms that I've seen in a long time, and it just sat here for a couple of hours. But this system that was here that's now being pushed away did not move for about 48 hours. It did not look normal. It did not look like natural weather patterns. It looked like an attempt to flood out the Mississippi Delta, planting the rice that's being planted in Arkansas and the crops there. We were dealing with the delta of the Mississippi River in this area that I'm talking about. But I've never seen a storm pull up and form on land and just stop. And it did that. It stopped and rotated counterclockwise, or clockwise, for about 48 hours, not moving, even though the rest of the weather around the nation and all the wind patterns were moving from left to right or from west to east. The storm sat there as if it was held in place. Can't say exactly what happened, but it definitely looked like an attempt to flood parts of this delta region that I'm talking about. We're starting to get some information in. These models will become more specific as we go through the next couple of days. What you're seeing, though, in the Bay of Campeche and coming out of there is a storm that does move north by northwest. Watch this as it starts to form here in the next few days. Right there, and I think the storm is going to form much faster than that, and you see it goes up through the Houston area, and we always see these storms usually make a right turn as the outer bands get along that friction of the coastline, and with that counterclockwise rotation, they tend to love to make that right turn. We've seen it with Hurricane Sally, with many other storms, but this is what we're dealing with. 13th, 14th on your bottom timestamp, going into the 16th, 17th. That's why I'm saying these models have not picked up what they're looking at now. But they are looking for disturbances. Again, today's 11th, if you go out that period of time up until we start seeing some formation right here on the 17th, then that would be a 5-day forecast. But the way that wave is moving across Central America and Mexico, this thing could move a little bit faster than that and could get into the Gulf, because it is now working not against the upper level wind shear as storms that's coming to the Caribbean and moving west do. This one is part of that wind shear that's coming out of the Pacific Ocean. But again, this is a Canadian model, one of the more reliable ones. And you see here, it's not showing it strengthening that much, but the waters are extremely warm. We know what we have to do this time of the year with the Gulf of Mexico. Again, let's look at one of the other models. This is the Navy model called NAVGEM. You can see it doesn't go out nearly as far. By the 18th in the central Gulf of Mexico, we have a system forming right there. It doesn't go past that. And it's not hugging the coastline like the one that we saw with the Canadian model. Over the years, we have seen that between the Navy model and Canadian model, you can get pretty close, and as you get closer to an impact point of a storm to land, these things will start getting very close together. Let's look at one other model. And this is the GFS model, or the Global Forecast System. It is kind of a product of a lot of averages. You can kind of throw them all into one, and this will be close, but this is an early model. And what they're showing is an impact in the northern Gulf of Mexico from the storm. Check this out. It's going up into the 16th now, starting to form, and it comes right up through the New Orleans area. All of that will change, but we do know that we have problems coming in. In the greens and yellows, you're kind of in your lower pressure. When you get into green, blues, much lower pressure. But the orange and the reds are high pressure, and this is the steering mechanism for these storms. Notice as the high pressure forms back over the Gulf states here and into the Gulf of Mexico, then that storm that will push the storm more to the left and more to the west, depending on how this high pressure system sets in. Guys, and what we're going to see now in the next few days is from the National Hurricane Center, Fox Hurricane, from the different models, is what I said before, a tightening of these models. It's time to pay attention anywhere from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama. We know what these storms can do. They can pop up in the middle of the Gulf, and then depending on, again, this high pressure and different factors like wind shear will determine the strength and the path of the storm. Guys, I'm working on another update that's not about hurricanes that I think is very important, and I'm going to try to get it up today. But we're watching this. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.